if you are, the other thing real quick, if you are registered, and then we'll get on to the SASE call. If you are registered but have not done your session registration,
Need to do that.
the sessions are filling up or are, some of them are filled. So
How can we check if we are or we're not? 'Cause I'm a mess.
go,
Like, I supposedly registered for everything, but I don't know.
yeah, go to agenda, log in. You'll see a login area. You can put either your ticket number, your email that you're registered, and then you can start seeing if you're selected your your courses. But of course, don't do that now because we're going to be talking with Corey, Ben, Eric, fun stuff here. All right, let's see here. All right. And Gary Harlem, seriously, thank you for the ConsentFix. I did a lot of research on that. Ben and I are going to actually talk about that today. It's really a fascinating, I don't know if you've seen it, Corey, but it's a new evolution. And this is a step beyond ClickFix. It's called ConsentFix. That's what we'll be talking about today. So let's start off with the wins of the week. Ben, what's going on in MSA? Any big wins? Anything fun and going on in your world? And maybe even talk about the 96 slides that you're up to for your sold out session.
Yeah, it's 96 sounds about right. I'm not quite done yet. So I'm gonna try not to do the death by PowerPoint, but it's gonna be kind of hard to do. I always prepare to do things like live demonstrations, but you always have to have a backup with that many people and that many computers.
Hmm.
So, but no, it should be really good. That has been my focus for the past, I think, like week and a half. Every free minute I have has been going into building that.
Got it.
But
Go, continue, please.
I was just saying on the flip side of that coin, Kaseya University is also kind of really heavily looking into what I'm doing, and I believe going to mirror a lot of the things that I'll be teaching. So if for some reason you can't get to the session, it's full, or you can't make it out to Vegas, fear not, you should be able to eventually access that online too.
Are you going to put the on the YouTube channel, Ben and Andrew? Is this content that you will record and then post to YouTube channel?
So there's certain the pre-day sessions, Andy, we are not recording.
Just a thought for
However,
Ben.
however, now conversely, there are, GQ guys like Corey Clark whose sessions are almost sold out. You still got time for Corey. His, like all the sessions going on during the event, those are all recorded. If Corey brings a PDF, like here's a checklist, all of that stuff will be recorded, available, etc.
Okay.
We couldn't get our camera crews in time and because we're shipping in all of their gear. There's a whole thing to that, Andy, for the
So
Tuesday.
Ben, I have a recorder and I could put a mic on you and at least we have that.
True.
And he
Very
has an
true.
assistant that he leaves behind to take care of it and messes up.
Are you talking about Chip?
No,
No,
no.
I'm talking about
Last
me.
year we were recording.
Oh, you're gonna be your assistant. It's too
Now,
funny.
now, what would make this a real win, Ben, is if Leron came out and was in the session with you. That would be an ultimate win, I think.
Well, he's
What do
here
you?
now, so we should just talk to him about coming out.
Uh, yeah, look, Leron, VIP treatment, picking up from the airport. What do you say?
You're
I don't
putting
know.
me on
I
the
don't think he'll
spot.
do it.
I got room in my hotel too if you need a place to stay.
And this one
Enrique's
doesn't
got a
have a
spot for
pole.
you outside too.
That's right.
You get the king suite.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
I am quite positive that Chip would okay you to come if you wanted to totally run.
I don't even know who I have to get approval from these days, Andrew. I'm gonna have to find out and get back
So
to you.
Leron, think about how your presence
Please
and
do.
input would change the dynamic of that presentation to a whole nother level.
It would
Yeah.
just be Ben talking and me just standing there. I don't think I would add that
They
much.
could they could
I better
certainly
not
use
talk for 2 hours and a half, 2.5 hours. That's I'm not gonna be able to speak after that.
You
they
can
could
watch the
certainly
Key
use
and
you in some
Peele.
of the other ones. They
You
they
need to
have a
watch.
bunch of other sessions.
Yeah, watch the Key and Peele hype man. And that's what you need to be. You need to be the hype man behind them, just like, yeah. I'm the
I
hype
love
man.
Key and Peele.
Oh my gosh, they're hysterical. Um, Gary, you're off mic. Do you have a win? No.
Well, another stupid client with, well, actually, no, that's not true. We did have another near miss where our Fortinet was breached through the VPN. Their users are on FortiTokens, but there is a user, this marketing user that whose account was breached that does not show up in the Fortinet interface. So when we've gone through and audited to make sure everybody has MFA and we're moving everybody as much as we can to FortiTokens, we did that audit. But this is the second time we've had a user or a user account used within the Fortinet system that doesn't show up in the UI.
What are you doing
Corey?
for what are you doing
Corey,
for
thoughts?
Yeah, what are you
Co-
doing
you-
for authentication for a VPN?
What are we doing for authentication? In this place, the users are using Radius back to Active Directory. And again, the users using FortiToken, the account that was used to log in to gain access to the network was not one. It is a user in Active Directory that is not listed or recognized in the Fortinet UI.
Doesn't have to be. Does that user who they got into inside the walls, right? When
Yeah.
They were inside doing what they were doing. Does that person have elevated permissions?
No, not that I'm aware of. At that point, they logged into the device using older credentials that we believe at that point. They used a different account onto the terminal server
Right.
once they were into the network.
So, I mean, just something to think about and some check boxes to do on situations like these is anytime you're doing, and most companies do a authentication check with Active Directory for VPN, that data is a lot of times some firewall brands maintain that data inside of their logs, right? Or they have a database inside there. We find a lot of people when they do Active Directory checks, they're still using an elevated, like a domain admin account because it's easy. I was not particularly this, but other service types accounts in my previous system admin background. I made that mistake and did that a long time ago. But that's where we're finding a lot of these compromises are happening, where you have some form of AD checks and you're using an elevated command, because any make model of firewall, if you're doing that, they can easily compromise what that account is, and that's how they're getting in.
So you're saying the LDAP account that we're using to do the validation?
Yeah.
Should not be, yes, correct. Should not be a domain admin at all. And it should be heavily restricted like a general service account.
Yeah.
Majority of companies don't do that. So that's
I don't know how that part of it's configured. Yeah, because that's what was alarming to us, that the fact, and you're saying that whatever the marketing account that they used, even though it's not listed in the UI, would still authenticate? Because my understanding, and again, I didn't look at it, I'm going based on what I was told from my engineers, was when they do the LDAP connector, we have an SSL VPN user group, and only those users are the ones who should pass an authentication or should have active VPN access.
It's a bind account that's checking it. So what's the bind account? I would start there,
Okay.
especially look at what that bind account is.
Yep.
Know, what rights does that have? Every firewall and their configuration has their own intricacies, right? Like
Yep.
I know you could keep doing, check to make sure you have a connection Active Directory. If you do it so many times, there's ways that adversaries can compromise that token right there. We've seen that happen in the past, but as you know, SSL VPN and what I'll be talking about it, right? Boom. SSL VPN is super vulnerable no matter.
Yeah, no, we're working to get rid of them. For the moment, we at least try to use the hard tokens instead of you know, SMS or something like that. But, you know, we'll check out that bind account. That's very interesting. Thank you.
Or Gary, just out of curiosity, is there
Yeah.
any OAuth connectivity to that VPN or, you know, using, no, it's just you guys straight.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of recommendations I can give you. Some you're not going to like, but
Like,
you know,
as in like get rid of it.
I mean that's the overall, but I can't just say that. It's easy for me to say get rid of your SSL VPN, but in today's business, it's a necessary tool for a lot of businesses. So we can't just say, you know, lightheartedly, just get rid of SSL VPN. But there's a lot of things you can do to start significantly locking it down. I think one of the hardest ones that is a necessary is, so you have a specific group, that organization that can VPN, correct?
Yep.
Is it a lot of people or a small group of people?
Half a dozen, I think.
Okay. So it's easier for you.
List them.
I would go through the pain of restricting per person based off their existing IP address. Now, unless they're just traveling all over the world and that's what's happening,
Yep.
there, you know, a lot of people just do the work from home and, VPN in. Yes, eventually your IP is going to change, but it doesn't change as quickly as a lot of
We
people
actually
think.
talked about that today.
Yeah.
You know, we actually got them to agree to turn it off for some of the users where they have other means of remote access. And for the one or two people who are remote only and don't have devices on-prem to use something like Screen Connect, we actually did talk about, you know, restricting to IP. Are there other areas or other suggestions like that that will make this
There's a lot
tighter?
There's a lot. We can talk outside this
Yeah.
meeting, or I'll be talking about it specifically at Write a Boom if you're going. Just
Unfortunately, I can't. But
yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I'm creating a whole checklist for slides and all this fun stuff.
Welcome to the
there's a lot
club.
you can do, and I'm educating myself more on other firewalls as well, because obviously I could talk about Sonic Wall all day, but
right.
there's a lot of similarities, but then there's some differences in other. I just want to ask one question, if I can. Was this Akira? Was there full
Say that again?
was there full encryption in this environment?
No.
Okay.
Huntress shut it down.
Okay.
Long before they were in the process of doing. They saw the pattern of authentication and some WinRAR, so they were starting to consolidate data. I never heard the answer if any of it was actually copied off yet. We were going to go back and look at the case logs. What's that?
Did they identify WinRAR and FileZilla as
Yeah.
portable apps? Yeah.
Yep.
That's common right now. I think that is Akira. I think that is associated with a lot of the Akira stuff that we saw as well.
Corey, what would have, without like Huntress, so that was initial access. What would have been, if it was what you typically see, what would have been the path?
They would have stolen your crap, and then you would have had a full encryption in the environment. And then once you go to backups, because you didn't want to pay the ransom, they're going to show you all your data. And then I don't know the industry that this particular customer's in, but they're going to try to ransom that actual data back to you.
Yep. We did have one of those earlier in there. Very, very similar scenario.
Corey, do they encrypt or do they take the easy path, quote unquote?
I'm seeing encrypt because they're very successful on quickly bypassing CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Aurora, Defender. Obviously, these groups, they're getting in there and they're quickly bypassing your AV EDR. So your best defense is having someone be able to get it before the actual encryption happens. Like in his situation, Huntress was able to identify it before the boom happened, right? So that's our only saving grace right now, is to catch them during that phase, finding out what their entry point what is or was, and plugging that hole. But there's going to be another hole at some point.
These are all reasons to come to Write a Boom and sit in on Corey Clark's presentation.
We're going to have a poll to keep. And if you're coming, I like hecklers. Last time I had to get on stage, I asked people to boo me in random spots, and it was amazing. And I can tell you, if you're walking past a room where someone's talking and you hear boos coming out of it, it's going to catch your interest, right? So feel free to boo me. I love boos. Heckle the heck out of me. I'm down for it.
I don't think it's going to be.
Anytime I say Sonic Wall, people are going to be like, boo. I get it. It's cool.
you cracked me up, dude. Okay. That was great. Uh, Gareth, thanks for sharing that. Other
I
folks.
love sharing good news.
Yeah, anytime you shut something down, that's fantastic.
It was a win. We got, we still had to restore the server. We didn't take a chance on the OS. We ended up not restoring the data drive because it was terabytes long and different problem. But yeah, worked out.
Client happy, client pleased though, overall of the end result.
They're not disgruntled. I think pleased is the wrong word. I think they're
Relieved,
content with
relieved,
the result.
right. Relieved.
Yeah, I think
Relieved.
so.
Relieved.
Yeah, and they were happy to and willing to shut down parts of the VPN, and we'll talk more. Hey, Corey, can you drop your email in the chat so I can reach out to you separately?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Awesome, Garrett. Others out there then. You got one?
Yes.
Let's go.
And it has to do with SaaS alerts. First off, my win has been Benjamin Jones, right over there on my screen. The webhook capabilities. So we've been doing a lot, or I've been doing a lot internally with helping automate a lot more of our processes when it comes to the SOC, a lot of the checks that the SOC analysts do, because it could be cumbersome. I mean, if you think about it, like, when you have it, what's the number one alert coming out of SaaS alerts? Out of approved areas. I feel for you if you have people outside, people in Europe, or especially Europe, because of how much they travel to other countries, and no one ever wants to log into the portal and say, hey, this person's going to be traveling, and do it. So now it's on you to get the alert and do something and validate where they're at. So we've been using a lot of the webhooks feature capability within SaaS alerts. It's far more expansive and gives me a lot more power than any of the other solutions. And I support a lot of solutions that we have. And Ben did an amazing video to walk you through it. Just be careful. Just be careful with it, because obviously you don't want to expose yourself, and you don't want to send email to hundreds of people that your webhook is down. You don't want to do that either. So just be careful with how you do it. But there is a lot of cool features that help you automate a lot of like checks or what you do, ticket generations and what you want in the ticket, et cetera, that you can do using webhooks into the SaaS alerts platform.
Ben's going to expose himself, right, Ben?
Jeez.
Well,
He's not going to have a poll on stage.
If I wasn't in before, I'm in now. I mean,
all right.
Suddenly coming down with something.
All right. Other before this just goes completely off the rails. Other wins. Let's see. Eric, you on the boat? That could be a win. No, you're not on the boat. You're home.
Sadly, I'm in my home office.
Yeah. You're gonna sail over to Vegas?
If there was a way.
Fair enough. All right. Anything else? Leron, any cool stuff going on in the world of AI in what you've been working on, whether it's coding or anything cool or you're contemplating?
It's very overwhelming to work in this space, because never in my nearly 30 years experience dealing with technology have things changed on a daily basis, which is what is taking place now. So you read what's going on, you get the latest and greatest, you're like, great, I got the edge. And then you wake up the next day and you're already behind. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to be working in an environment that moves that quickly. But on the AI side of the house and kind of what we're doing, we're waiting to deploy our AI agent into our development environment. And as soon as we've played around with it and we feel like it's good, we're going to invite you all here to be beta testers with our AI agent. Now it's going to be a little baby agent, and it's not going to be doing too many cool things. We'll definitely build on top of it like we do with everything else. To start off with, it's just going to be allow you the ability to what we call interrogate your data. So, hey, Ben Jones just logged in from Virginia. Is that expected? Is that not expected? Yes, Ben logs in from Virginia 99% of the time. That is expected. And that is our very early entry point into the AI agent. And then we'll listen to you and we'll build more stuff on top of it. So coming to dev soon, a week or so. And then within a few weeks after that, we're going to do a beta and ask who wants to volunteer and give this a shot with the only ask that you just give us your feedback on how you like using it, useful, not useful.
Will it do things, do you think, with the AI, like, you talked about location to start, Leron, like, will it do things like, oh, you don't have, we noticed Fortify is not enabled, and that could give you an enhance, tying this, that kind of stuff. Do you envision that progression?
But quite possibly, right? In the crawl, walk, run, fly analogy, this is very much baby crawling. What you're talking about is somewhere between running and flying. And so after we do interrogation, which allows us the ability to talk to the data, we're probably looking at doing investigation. And then after that, things like respond actions. And what you're talking about, Andrew, is more like, hey, analyze my tenant and then tell me what I need to do in order to improve it. And then it would come back with those types of recommendations. But that's exactly why we want to get it out. We want people to use it, and we need exactly that type of feedback so that we build the right thing.
Got it. Got it. Very cool, man. Very, very cool. Questions at all for Leron while we have him?
Where are things next, Leron?
Where are things next?
Besides AI, what's a changing? What's afoot?
I like how you very subtly, Andy, just put me on the spot. That's good.
Well, Andrew set it up. I just went for the hit.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was a softball. So we're going to start working on our um, generic webhook listener. The other thing that we have in production already is the Microsoft Event Hub integration. And by the lack of like you guys saying, "Oh my God, that's amazing. It's great." Right? So one of the things I've asked Amanda to do is to put together like a quick demo so that you guys can see the sorts of things that you can do with the Event Hub integration, because the Microsoft Event Hub allows you to extract any data from Microsoft and pull it into SaaS alerts. And so what we want to do is give you some working examples that you can sink your teeth into. And then on the Fortify side of the house, Amanda and her team have been working incredibly hard on really increasing the capabilities of Fortify, and she'll talk about that here next. We're also looking at a CrowdStrike integration. It's been very difficult for us to find folks at CrowdStrike who will work with us to get that done. And we had a volunteer. I'm not going to put him on the spot, but you know who you are. Thank
No
you
one
for,
reached out yet.
yeah.
I already emailed.
Okay. This happened less than 24 hours ago, roughly 24. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, Enrique volunteered. We have the CrowdStrike integration all coded up and ready to go. Like we just need to test it. So Enrique graciously volunteered, and we're going to be doing that as well.
Leron, question if I may. I see Andy. Andy, bear with me because I know you're next. Just a question about the CrowdStrike though, Leon. Why CrowdStrike is, from I guess from aside from you, Enrique, but when you look at proliferation, you see a Sentinel-1, much heavier coverage. Was it a stronger use case or just, hey, let's try this out?
Well, our mission, right, has always been, and when we've gotten into situations where we kind of have to, these guys are kind of a competitor. Should we integrate? Should we not integrate? I
Right.
always look at it from the lens of, is this better for our customers? And our customers use CrowdStrike, and the CrowdStrike data inside of SaaS alerts and RC2. Actually, it's going to be RC2 and KSIM. That data is going to be useful. It's going to help you protect your customers more. And so that's the short answer, Andrew, until somebody starts yelling at me and says, do not integrate with our competitors, which nobody's done yet. That's the path we're going to continue pursuing.
Oh, I'm for the integration to competitors. I was just more wondering the pecking order of that versus, some other EDR. by the way, I got the justification now for you to come to Write a Boom, because we have two of their former heads, both of their former heads of IR coming to Write a Boom presenting, that know probably more about Falcon than anybody, doing all the IR cases and pulling
What day are
logs.
those, Andrew?
It's Friday. They're presenting. So now you have justification for Learjet, being like rickshawed from Harry Reid Airport over, the whole 9 yards. All right, Andy.
So Liron, the way that I was thinking about, we have now SaaS alerts, which has all these steps and checks that we can have, having feeds coming in from Inky and
Oh,
feeds.
we plan to do that.
Okay,
Like
I'm
that
just,
is
go ahead.
in an analysis right now. Sorry, Andy, I forgot to mention it.
All right, and so I'm just saying that, and then having that ability to take feed from EDR and then potentially hand it off to the SOC for Rocket Cyber, that will be incredibly dynamic, because I see SaaS alerts as kind of the hub for this, and because of all the capabilities that it has. So having those feeds come in, for example, we found something that we had to raise to Data RMM, that when we did an MDNS patch to block MDNS, Data RMM crapped the system, and we had to fix that. So these are things that we want to be able to say, take the feed of vulnerabilities potentially that you might get from a compliance manager, and have that feed in and start to drive how we could monitor and manage these things.
Yeah, that's the direction that we're going in, right? More
Right.
integrations, centralize all the data into a singular place. And then if we're talking KSIM, which is SaaS Alert plus Rocket Cyber, you have all the automations that are built in, plus if you prescribe to those products, the ability for people to manage those things for you, as well.
Thanks.
Good stuff. All right,
Corey's got his hand up, Andrew.
Corey.
So you're going to see far more CrowdStrike coming into the SMB as well. I know a lot of people look at CrowdStrike as a pure enterprise play. We've been partnered with them for a year, and we've had good onboardings into CrowdStrike as well. So they're heavily focusing on getting into the SMB space. There's actually a recent article where they've recently partnered up with Nord, yes, NordVPN company, in some PAX8 play as well. So if you haven't seen that, you can look that up. So you're definitely going to see far more CrowdStrike in the SMB, and might even get more questions from your customers around it the more that they start promoting it. Now, my personal opinion, is it for every SMB? No, it's not. It's still not easy. And, Liron will never get anybody at CrowdStrike to help them, because when it comes to companies, I've never seen more arrogant of people. I'll say that publicly. I've always said that, right? You can't tell them to change anything without it having to go through a million checks and wait 2 years. But with that being said, I 100% agree. And this doesn't just apply to vendors like, Kaseya or like us, where to be relevant, you have to play on the same playground as your competitors. I have to play on the same playground as Huntress. Otherwise, it's an injustice, not to you guys, but to the whole industry as a whole. So you're going to see far more integrations from competing, because I feel like nowadays, all of us vendors, we're all competing with each other no matter what. Everyone's trying to become that one-stop shop. You can get your endpoint, you can get your cloud, you can get your network stuff all from one particular pane of glass. And it's not going to get less, it's going to get more.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah, I mean, even though they're competitors, you're going to see far more integrations, and it makes sense for Leron to go that path.
Yeah, I want to be clear, Corey, and everybody. I wasn't questioning the fact that he's integrating with a competitor. I'm all for that, and I think you need to do that. I was just more saying, like, in terms of vast coverage, SentinelOne has far greater.
Andrew, we already have a SentinelOne integration.
Okay, well, there's the answer. So, all right, Steven, what you got?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm just gonna chime in. We do have one customer that has a product with that uses CrowdStrike, and I was looking into it, and I think they're one of the other EDRs that has like the application controls. And so, like, kind of the app locker sort of, threat locker sort of experience there. And so that was something that I'm considering for lots of environments, seeing the need for it.
Seeing potentially shifting your stack to that, Stephen?
Or needing that application, controls, application blocking, or having that capability somewhere. And so, yeah, if CrowdStrike has that, I was looking to see if Sentinel-1 was going to have that, and it didn't seem to be the case, but it looked like CrowdStrike had it, and so that may be why they're
Have you
maybe
ever done
exploring down.
application whitelisting before, Stephen?
It's painful.
It's very painful. That's so. Yeah. If you want, feel free to ping things off of me. I mean, I have a background. Like I used to use Bit9 before Carbon Black swallowed them up. I use Threat Locker internally. So if there's some things you want to bounce off, let me know. I haven't looked at CrowdStrike's version, but definitely consider ease of use, unless you just have dedicated people to do it.
Yeah, well, a lot of these threats they're starting in the user land and kind of doing quite a bit there even. Yeah.
There's a huge case, and I'll be on that hill with you of how great application whitelisting is, but it has to be managed, right? There has to be a way to control it, because the problem with application whitelisting in general for most industries, especially SMB, is we start creating too many holes.
Oh, well, the problem is I'm seeing the need, and so now I want it. So I'm with you.
Matt, are you saying, like, Matt, maybe you can come on, are you using Intune for that? And if so, how is it?
Yeah, we've been testing it with the sorry, I can't remember what they call it. The Microsoft trusted library there of signed applications on a few computers. And for the ones we've been testing it on, it seems to work.
Interesting. So again, shameless plug for Write a Boom. The US director of Intune is going to be there doing like a fireside chat, talking to folks. We have a whole session with got about 12 folks, directors and execs coming from Microsoft. So you can talk literally
signed and reputable. Sorry to interrupt, but that's what the mode we've been testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to hear more on that.
And it's, I mean, we've been trying it because, like, unlike Threat Locker, which looks amazing, that's an extra cost. This is included in our Office 365 premium licensing. So
yeah, interesting.
It's something already paid for.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about talking with one of our customers to expand our test group to one customer that I think would be a good fit. They have nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Let us know how that goes.
Yeah.
All right. Any others?
So just briefly going back to the CrowdStrike, we started implementing their MDR solution because they'll onboard us and they manage the configuration from day one. They even went to our own environment and questions and policies and said, "Why?" Kind of said, "Hey, stupid, why did you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, because the software vendor said to do it." And they're like, "No, remove it." So, or they tell you, "We'll give you X amount of hours. If you don't hear back from you, we'll remove it automatically." But they do full IR and they do full onboarding and configurations for us. So that's a big plus.
So you went with Falcon Complete, their higher one.
They're Falcon Complete, correct.
Yeah.
Which is very decently priced for Complete.
Okay. All right. Miss Amanda, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All
Let me
right.
share my screen. I have a couple of quick updates on the Fortify. All right, can you see Fortify right now? It should be on snapshots.
Yep.
Yes.
Great. All right, so the first part I wanted to let everybody know, in case you haven't been paying attention, when you go to create snapshots, we have added several new types. This list is in development, so the last two Teams ones have not been released, but everything else is currently on production. So we have our original CAP, but we have Intune device configuration policies. We have all the Defender ones for the anti-phishing, anti-spam, anti-malware, safe attachments, and safe links. We just released exchange transport rules. on Friday or Monday, I can't remember, but we just released that. And then Teams is coming shortly. The Teams company-wide and the Teams meetings, and then there's a third Teams one that we'll also have. So just to let everybody know, that expansion keeps happening and we keep releasing those. And then we keep working on custom recommended actions or new recommended actions. There's two that we released the other day as well that I just wanted to highlight. So we have sign-in frequency, every time conditional access policy. So under the description tab, it's telling you you can now force a timeout that'll help ensure the sessions are not kept alive. And then we have block access for users with insider risk conditional access policy. And so this is leveraging Purview to identify something that's risky and being able to then block it. So the recommended actions continue to come out as well as the new snapshot types continue to roll out. And just want to make sure everybody was aware of these.
That's awesome, Amanda. Any folks have any questions for Amanda on this?
Hey Amanda, I'm gonna need you to stop releasing things until after Vitaboom because my slides are already out of date now. I'm up to exchange rules, so I'm good.
You're past the major holiday time, blackout time frame, so you got to keep up. Keep up with her.
I want to know
I'm
when
gonna be
Adam's
taking
coming.
screenshots the day of.
I want to know when Adam's coming on. I was excited. I thought Adam was gonna. I see he's here, but was gonna have something exciting. Adam, are we gonna hear from you next week, maybe?
I hope so. I'm the guy kind of running the AI chat thing along with Liron. So when that drops, I'll steal the stage from him and I'll get to show it off instead.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Let me share my screen again.
Can I jump in with a quick question for Amanda?
Of course.
With Fortify, and maybe my expectations are out of whack, but are we able to use that to export a report showing what the actual settings are
So
in Fortify?
yeah, there's a couple of different reports that support the Fortified. There's the Fortified audit report, which will show you everything that's been applied. And so if you're looking for that list of everything you've done via Fortified, that would be your best case scenario. And then the
Well, the
threat,
snapshots themselves, can we see the settings in the snapshot, or is that not how it's
yeah,
not the
so
way to use
that's currently not available, but that is something we actually have on the roadmap.
it? Okay, thank you. I was
Mhm.
making sure I'm not crazy.
Nope,
Appreciate
nope.
it.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let me just get back here. All right. So, as I said, this was his session. It's packed. If you can't get in, let me know. Maybe I can do something. Maybe I know someone that can help you.
Standing room only.
With that?
Standing room only.
It is. It is. Okay. So, hats off. I don't know if Gary's still with us. Gary, you still with us?
I'm here.
All right. Gary, you sent me a different article on this, but I was really intrigued by the one, this,
Yeah.
thing, by what you sent me. And I started digging in and I shot it over to Ben. Ben, you're over 3,000 now on your channel, right?
Yep. Just said that this past weekend.
Yeah. So check out Ben. So let me put the URL in for everybody. And let me set the stage for you all. By the way, I will put in chat eventually as I get to it, John Hammond's video. It's a 19, 20-minute video on this as well. So we've been talking quite a bit about ClickFix, fair, over the past, call it 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is, that these new phishing style attacks, getting people to do things. Tina probably kicked it off for us, what, 6, 8 months ago, Tina, with the classified ad, if you will. I think it was that far back with the beginning of this new, I guess, category of getting people to do things, right? And as we've talked about historically, security awareness training has been about don't click on something, don't do this, don't do that. click fix, and now this new thing that we're going to talk about, ConsentFix, completely turn the tables because number one, security awareness training doesn't talk about doing things. Does that make sense, by the way, to everybody at a highest level, right? Am I making sense to you, Leron, on what I say when I'm saying that?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure for everybody that I'm coming through. So this latest thing, ConsentFix, combines this phishing style that we've seen of these click fix, do this, with an OAuth consent. And so let's kind of just walk through the ruse. And Ben, I'm going to ask for your help along the way if I could.
Of course.
All right. So a few things to notice about this attack. Number one, all of it happens in the browser. What's really important to note about this is, and again, I think this is like whether it's Corey, whether this is testing, like where the threat actors are working towards progressions of attacks, they're working towards attacks that traditional security controls are not going to pick up, right? I'm in the browser, I do this, I do that. Security tooling isn't going to say, oh, you clicked on that or you did that in the browser historically, or copied that URL in the browser and, put it into your, into a login, right? So this is where this new ruse is going. So this is a browser-based attack where they want you to you don't even have to supply creds. They're kind enough, right, Ben, to provide you a window to the official Microsoft login. But let me kind of walk through how it's done. And forgive me again as I kind of struggle because there's a lot to this, the back end technically. So they trick the user actually to putting in the actual Azure CLI, which is the actual OAuth authorization to your Microsoft account. So this is, Corey, full-fledged. If you do this, full-fledged access to your Microsoft account. And they provide I won't go through it here, but in the article, you can kind of walk through how the attack happens. But I want to get into, the visuals so it makes some sense. So how they started off is they find these either abandoned or compromised web pages that people land on, and a lot of typo squatting and things that we've talked about, where user will do a search and end up on one of these abandoned pages, right? Because it looks to be, in terms of hierarchy, that's the right thing. And the first thing they do, which again, our security awareness is almost teaching us, right, Corey, is, hey, validate, right? Are you who you say you are? What's interesting about this is this fake turnstile is if I enter A. Morgan at Mac or Andrew at Hotmail, guess what happens? Nothing. Because it's only conditionally loading if I put a corporate domain in, because it's searching, it wants to get to a Microsoft domain. It does not care about that I'm a Yahoo user or a Mac user or anything like that. Have I got it right so far, Ben?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. So any questions so far, by the way, on how this ruse is starting off? So as I said, like you can see here, when you put in and they walk through this video, it's really done well in the article. You actually can play the video, and it literally, as the security team, the push security walks you through this, you can see it as they test it, it says, hey, this is no good. However, if you do put in your correct corporate account, it proceeds then to prompt you with, let me just jump to it here and I'll go back for a minute. It literally gives you the Microsoft page with your local host, and you literally fills out, Corey, all your credentials, and then it says, hey, put all this stuff here that, right, legitimately into here. So follow me so far. And when you do, you have given full permission of your Microsoft account to the threat actor. So some key takeaways that I found really interesting, and like I said, when I started off this, what's so dangerous about this, they call it consent phishing, is it's really hard for traditional security tools to detect and block this because everything's happening in the browser. The user is interacting with the browser and the instructions from the threat actor. They also talk about here that why this is so dangerous is because the Azure CLI is a first-party Microsoft app, and it's implicitly entrusted by Entra. So it's entrusted by all the default tenants. You don't have to have additional approvals, et cetera, et cetera. So this is full access to OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As I mentioned, I'm going to put the John Hammond YouTube. Now, again, let me also say, on the margin, I don't think, and Hammond talks about this, how successful or not will this be? Not sure, because again, when you put in the local host, it fails, and the whole ruse is it fails, and it says, "Hey, drag and drop this here into the threat actor's window," and it authenticates everything. But I think it's a progression that we're going to continue to see to get people to, again, we are all in this habit of authenticating and doing things versus all the security awareness training saying, don't do this, don't do that. Corey, any thoughts as I walk through that from you as you look at that attack? I thought it was really clever.
Oh, it is. I'm typing about it in the chat. So there's a lot of things they do very well, right? It's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
What they do well is a social engineering aspect that I've been talking about for years, right? Where they're going to give you a sense of, for extra security measures, I need you to do this, which we're not trained on the adversaries doing that. We're trained on the easy gotchas, right? Hey, look for misspelled words, look for things that just don't make sense in what you're looking at. It's a very elaborate, and for those that just don't know, they'll blindly do it, and then they'll have a sense inside of them that says, hey, oh, yes, thanks for having this extra measure of security to make sure I am who I am. Yes, let me copy this. I am Corey Clark. Yes, please help me here. Vice, just the typical, just put in an email address and boom, send it. Them using conditional logic behind checking, that's not common either. So it's a very well done attack method. Now, of course, people that are in the know, people that live this in their everyday lives, right? We're IT people. We're like, no, I'm not giving you crap. I'm not even going to click on this or, whatever. I get it. But they're targeting people that will easily fall for it because it doesn't fall into their history of dealing with these types of compromises. They're not trained on things like this. So it gives them that sense of security because it's validating that what they're doing is secure.
Yeah, I think it's thanks for sharing that commentary. I'm going to turn to Ben for what you can do to prevent this. some steps you can put in. But Corey, I think, again, part of what threat actors do, as we know, is part of it's testing, right? Did this work? How many people did we get to do this? And look, we're already seeing incredible, and I would say, not that I'm gleeful, but I'm saying we're seeing incredible ingenuity just from going from ClickFix to now, okay, can I just get full, access to everything? Well, if someone's actually does what this thing is saying, it's it's game on into their Microsoft domain. And so, like I said, I think it's this, let's test this. Let's see if we can keep evolving these new ways of evading standard security controls, new ways of staying away from what we teach in security awareness training. I find it, again, not gleefully fascinating, but really fascinating that of the evolution. So Ben, in the closing minutes here, what are your thoughts on some mitigation steps, things people can do about that?
Sure. So a couple of things. I'm working on an IOC for this. The biggest issue is they use well-known applications inside of Microsoft that are already trusted. So you can enable Fortify to require consent for any of these OAuth applications being used. Another thing that you could do is monitor for the usage of Azure, I think CLI and PowerShell, but that also could catch your guys doing things that they would normally do. So it's going to be one of those IOCs that is it's going to be different for each company and require some customization. Ones that say, hey, maybe it's okay that we're using CLI from this office IP address versus just somebody out in the wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Leron, in our closing minute, like, what are your thoughts? I love always hearing your comments because you see the evolution in AI, and now we're seeing these incredible social engineering evolutions. By the way, do you feel AI is aiding some of this where they're using, hey, this is what we did last time, at a very generic level. Hey, AI, this is what we did last time. These are the results. Could
So
you help us evolve this?
yeah, I'll give you an example. Where I'm working on automating some testing here. And to automate testing, I have to build an OTP handler, right, with a QR code. So I got the algorithm, whatever. And then during this meeting, it got me thinking, right? So, like, how do you generate an algorithm? You either take a picture of the QR code or there's a long string that you give it, which gives you the algorithm to generate the OTP. And during this conversation, I'm thinking to myself, well, if I give you the one-time code, could I reverse engineer the actual key? Which means, Andrew, if I see you logging in with your OTP one time and I just clock the time exactly, I could potentially reverse engineer, which now means I have your OTP. And I think this is how adversaries are thinking, right? They're thinking, and I checked, and the answer is no, and I want to look into it some more. But these types of things that we're seeing, like, this is just the beginning. These things are going to build on top of each other, and it's just going to get more challenging, which is, hey, it's good for us, right? It's job security for us.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, the evolution of this stuff, like I said, week over week, month over month, we talk about and we see these
And
the ingenuity.
keep in mind, right? The stuff that we see are the people that have been caught.
Yeah.
If if you're good and you're doing this stuff, you have ways to get in, and you don't share that with anybody. You just
Fair.
get in, and it's quiet, and we don't even know about it.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. All right. Well, I know we're at the top of the hour, so awesome speaking with everybody today. Be safe. We'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday and make it a great week. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody. Take
All
care.
right, guys, stay safe.
Stay safe. Thanks.